Hi, and welcome to Shonen-Pressions. I am Connor,
And I'm Shane.
and we are in the Tower City Library where on Shonen-Pressions we'll be looking at chunks of different manga series, and our first one is Assassination Classroom.
That's right. And Assassination Classroom was something that I picked up, I believe it was a year ago, maybe a little bit more than a year ago. I'd heard about it and I knew that it was, popular during the time that it was coming out weekly and everything. But I didn't get around to reading it until I'm pretty sure all the volumes were released at that time. And
Yeah, I think
so
you told me that.
Yeah, so I picked up volume one and started reading it, and I think immediately after that I ended up going and getting like the next 6 or 7 volumes, and then pretty much binge read the whole series, which is what, 21 volumes or 20 volumes?
Yeah, it's 21,
Yeah, and I binge read all of that over a course of, I don't know, maybe 4 days.
which is impressive.
Yeah, that was nonstop just reading through because I was hooked.
It is quite good. I never read it. You were the one who got me volume one. Is like, you have to read this.
Yeah, and because there's very few series I think that I come across like that where I get as hooked as I was. But I mean, not only was this one a hook, it was a great series to collect because of the different colors that the volumes had on the side. It made for a good addition to your collection.
Yeah, I'm looking at mine now. Other than the second volume, which is the striped one, they're pretty good. I mean, I know they get more creative because I've seen them on the like
hmm
sides, but that's a weird like trend to do on the second volume is be like yellow and green.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a really unique
Well, because
way
that's
of
his
doing each
face.
volume.
That's one of his
Yeah,
faces.
these are all, I mean, all the covers are just different versions of what his face is throughout the series.
Yeah. Uh, it's just unfortunate that now it looks like I have the guy from Blue's Clues on with different colors. Steve, is that Steve?
Yeah,
Steve, it
I
looks
think
like
it's
his
Steve.
sweater. But do you want to get into at least chapter one and then we can go from there?
Yeah, so let's go ahead and start with that intro chapter, the one that started it all.
Yeah. So are they called hits? Is that what the name of the chapters are? Or are they called chapters?
I believe. Let me look it up real
Target. Maybe
quick.
it's Target. I think it might be Target.
I know that they all have to do with time, because for the most part, they've all got the word time in them.
Yeah, I didn't write down the
But
chapter names.
because I know the first time is, I think, killing time in homeroom, and then the second one's like no time to strike out. They all have something to do with time. But I'm not sure as far if they're just called chapters or if they're called targets or what exactly. Well,
Yeah,
you've got the volumes there, don't you?
I do. They're not close. I can look though.
Oh, okay. But yeah, go ahead if you want to start with chapter one. We'll get into the
I
what you
had to
would
move.
call the pilot chapter.
Yeah, I had to move I had to move that rolling chair into my room. So I have to put it back, but it's all good. They are called no, it's class. It's called class one.
Class one. I got you.
So class one opens with students trying to shoot an octopus alien teacher, as you do, right? I mean that happens to me on the daily.
Oh, of course. It was.
They all claim I look like an alien, and then they just start shooting. This is America, so that would make sense, right?
Well, picking up the volume, you're going to get into something interesting just based off the cover. But to open up, I think that's what the first page too
It is. It is the first page.
is definitely something that to throw you for a bit of a loop if you're not, expecting, not knowing what to expect.
No, and with that title though, which I'll say after this. So through narration and flashback, we see that the alien Koro Sensei, because it's a mix of well, he's a teacher, and then I can't remember what Koro stands for. I can
Um,
look in the book, but
I can't remember either.
anyway, Koro Sensei destroyed the moon, like a giant chunk of the moon, Piccolo style, and plans to do the same to the Earth. However, he wants to be a teacher for a year with the worst kids in a Japanese middle school.
Mm-hmm.
So the Ministry of Defense, so like our Department of Defense, uh, says that they can kill him, and whoever kills him gets $10 billion.
With the only hook or catch being that he wants to be able to teach that classroom and teach the kids how to
Yeah, how to
become better
assassinate him.
assassins. Yeah.
Let's see. I'm actually looking through that first chapter, mostly so I can figure out where Koro Sensei comes from.
And they
It looks
also,
very good. The art looks good, by the way. And we
yeah,
never mentioned that, but it's good.
the art is good, and it's interesting that his weakness is to, what are they, like rubber BBs kind of?
Yeah, so I'll get into that in a second. Anyway,
Okay.
not important. Uh, the chapter then focuses on a single student, Nagisa, who he's a new kid, but I don't actually know. I assume he was new.
Yeah, I think, I can't remember if it's referenced at all whether he is or not, but he does seem like he's a newer kid because it seems like he
Uh,
was recently put in there.
yeah. Three students give him a grenade to blow up Koro Sensei with. They try and fail, and Koro Sensei gets like furious and wants the students to kill using a method that they love and reflects them.
Hmm.
Which I like that. He's not mad that they try to kill him. It's just he doesn't like the method because it's not who they are.
Yeah.
We get a flashback to why Koro Sensei wants to be a teacher in like a mysterious way.
Hmm.
Because it says like, ooh, there's somebody else. And Nagisa says he'll kill their teacher, and that's how it ends. He said Nagisa will kill him.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things about this first chapter is it really lays the groundwork for what exactly the premise is.
Yeah,
On top of that,
immediately.
it gives you an idea of, the situation that the kids are in, and then we get more of a look at who the teacher is and how layered he actually is, despite being this weird alien thing that destroyed the moon.
Yeah, because like I would say that I think I told you that it sets up what the point of the story is, what it's trying to say, almost immediately, right?
Yeah.
And I think it gives a really cool and interesting way to like motivate students. Because it
Hmm.
really gets them motivated to be better. Because if they fail, it's not just a bad grade, but he will, destroy the planet.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, we'll learn more. I don't know if I can't remember if it's within the portion that we're going to be talking about, but
Yeah, just the
you know,
first 5 volumes.
we'll eventually learn more about what it is with him and the whole teaching aspect, but it's interesting because how dangerous he is, it's still that he cares about teaching them not only how to become better assassins, but how to become better versions of themselves.
Which is shown immediately in the next chapter,
Hmm.
where a student named Sugino tries to like throw a baseball filled with BBs. They are BBs that are toxic to Koro Sensei, which I
Hmm.
think is fun. And we see later like someone tries to shoot him with bullets and they just melt, which I think is funny and gives like a good sense of like playfulness because it's like, look, BBs, they're not gonna really hurt except him. Anyway, that pitch misses, and then Koro Sensei goes to New York City to watch a baseball game because he can fly at like Mach 20.
Yeah, a little ridiculous, isn't
Well,
it?
it's fun. I think it does some fun
Yeah,
stuff. I like
yeah.
him always flying to different like cities to get food.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. I won't get
which
into
is
it yet, but there is a funny moment that comes on, I think, in a couple later chapters regarding some kind of frozen dessert.
oh, it's even then it's so funny.
Yeah.
Uh, the next day, he helps Sugino with his pitch and tells him how to get better and use like his pitching style that he has. So yeah, isn't the point
And
very obvious?
and yeah, and that's like the first chapter really sets up that there are more layers to Koro Sensei. and that, his focus isn't just on, like I said, them trying to become better assassins, but them becoming better versions of themselves. So bringing this next chapter in to really focus on one specific character and, his love of the sport in general and becoming better at that sport, while also becoming better at that is also him growing more skill as an assassin in a way. He's developing a skill that can work both ways.
Yes, which is continually like reinforced.
Mm-hmm.
So the next 4 chapters follows one that class 3E. I can't remember which one it is because I think I've put both in here. Have a new PE teacher, Karasuma, who is part of the Ministry of Defense. And his entire role is going to be just like his PE is basically teaching them how to assassinate people.
Yeah.
And then we get a new student who comes in and he's like, who was a delinquent, and he's like, I'm done with this school. And he wants to kill a teacher because he's so mad and so edgy.
Yeah,
you can tell he's a teenager.
Immediately edgy and sadistic anti-hero type character. Like, as soon as you could see him, it had all those aspects.
Yep, and his name is Kalma. And he's actually able to like damage Koro Sensei by, I think, like chopping one of his tentacles off.
Mm-hmm.
And you find out,
because that's all in chapter 4.
Yeah, I'm just going through because you wanted to do.
Yeah, you're good.
So I'm just going through it. I just said chapter 2 because it was such a standalone.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Turns out he was suspended for fighting. Karasuma does some damage, and it is impressive. But Koro Sensei is able to avoid him, and this makes Karma want to kill him even more because he's a teacher who can actually fight back.
Mm-hmm.
While Koro Sensei is teaching, Karma keeps trying to kill him, which, pisses Koro Sensei off because he wants to separate those things.
Mm-hmm.
He wants the instructional time and then the killing time. That was a good pun.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, please. Just laugh at my bad jokes.
Try it again.
There is instructional time, and then there's killing time. Yuck. God, I'm so sorry. Hashtag
it was funnier the second time.
Well, because now I knew it was a joke. I didn't say it like it's supposed to be a joke. I just said it, and then anyway, after school, Kama talks to Nagisa, which I did not mention. I did not like his character design. Nagisa,
yeah.
It's not great.
I'm trying to, yeah. I mean, it's advantageous in a certain way because I made a point that I think in the beginning, the first couple chapters, he's an interesting character because he could potentially be the most dangerous one if he can develop his skills because of his look.
Which we'll get to much later.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kama is happy he's a real teacher, so he can actually kill him for what happened last time, because something else has happened the next day. Koro Sensei is sad, and you can't buy gelato from Italy. See? And there's a dead octopus on his desk that Karma placed there. Koro Sensei uses his skills and a rocket from the first issue that he's just able to pick up out of the air to make takoyaki and give it to Karma for breakfast. He's such a good guy.
Like, every time Karma does something and Koro does something back to him, it's always just hilarious.
It was very
Whether
good.
it's like doing his hair or anything like that.
Oh, I think I mentioned that in the next one. So, Koro Sensei says he'll help Karma sharpen his skills while he's in class, showing that he respects that wanting to kill him. So, we get a montage of Karma trying to kill Koro Sensei in class and failing. At the end of the day, Karma does his final gambit of jumping off a cliff to either, because it's good, right? Because he's either going to die and kill his status as a teacher, or be able to kill Koro Sensei, but that doesn't happen, and we find out that in a flashback that Kama's had a teacher who was supposed to, have his back, and then he beat up a bully who was also like a really smart, like what would it be, like, a rich kid, right? One of those
Mm-hmm.
types.
Yeah.
And so he's like, nope, that's wrong. I can't have your back,
Yeah.
making him mad. Anyway, Koro Sensei uses his skills to make a Spider-Man net and save him, and that he'll protect any student. And Nagisa and Kama leave with Koro Sensei's wallet. Very nice. Pickpockets. And the final chapter in Volume 1 focuses on Okuda, who is a chemistry whiz who tries
Mm-hmm.
to get Koro Sensei to drink poison and just says it out loud.
Which is hilarious because he's like, okay, let me test it.
And it doesn't even kill him. It just like messes with his face. And he basically,
which is so funny.
it is all of his faces. Koro Sensei is a very good character.
It's so simple, but it's so clever to have such a basic face that you can change so easily.
Yes. Koro Sensei says that her chemistry skills are strong, but she has to work on communication skills to kill him and to communicate her ideas across.
Mm-hmm.
So, at the end, Karasuma is worried because a trained assassin might be joining the actual school and will scare the kids away.
And she was definitely introduced in a similar way to Karma, where, I mean, I'll have to go into it more when we get into the next chapter, or next volume, when we actually get to see her, but it's kind of like it shows you such a sadistic looking evil character, but we know Karma isn't necessarily as evil as his initial introduction seemed to be.
No, and it makes more sense with him because not only that, but he's also a teenager, so they're prone to being edgy sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill a teacher, which it might not be actually that strong, but this is a comedy. Yeah.
So what stuck out to you in the first volume? Anything specific?
No, I like the artwork a lot, and that it stays pretty strong with that. And
I think go ahead.
And that's that and the premise. I think I kind of get tired a little bit when I read it because I get the point.
Mm-hmm.
I get the point, but it's always so enjoyable because he's able to come at it so many different ways, and you get some good characters. I'll get more into my main problem a little later, but
I think my highlights are probably I really like Karma. I think he's probably at this point the best character or most developed character outside of Koro.
Yeah, he kind of disappears though, I notice.
Mm-hmm.
After this point, which isn't great, but it's fine.
No. And then on top of that, I think the best chapters, other than the first one, but the best two were probably the second one with the Sugino.
Yeah.
And the whole baseball aspect. And then the last chapter of the volume with Okuda learning, because they focus on just one of the students.
Yes.
And I think when it really focuses on like an individual student, or kind of shrinks the story a little bit and makes it more personal, then that's when his writing seems to really come out and the comedy really starts to hit hard.
Yes. Because then it's not just as much like gags. I mean, there's still lots of gags in it, but
the whole middle of it, kind of, I don't want to say it dragged, but it all kind of felt flat with moments in there, whether it be comedy or, good artistic moments or just whatever it is, but it felt more flat with just moments, while those two individual chapters felt like just strong from start to finish, because it was a clear beginning and end.
From just the 5 chapters, I would say that his arcs, when he tries to do those, do get better.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them aren't great. But, I mean, that was a pretty good standard of what they are, and they don't get much. I mean, you can tell me. I don't think, from what I've read, they do not get worse than that. Than the Karma arc, I don't believe.
No.
So, the next one is a 3-chapter arc where we get that assassin.
Mm-hmm.
So in chapter 8, Koro Sensei is buying groceries when he sees a pretty lady teacher and saves her from a bunch of thugs. And this is Irina Jelovich, the English teacher.
Jelabitch.
Yeah, well, I think I just for ease, because I knew we were going to do this, I think I just put Irina in there.
Oh.
Well, I mean, they do a lot with her name, and it is a very good name. Uh, at
Jelabitch.
recess, as the kids play, yes, very funny. Kids play stab the teacher with a knife. We find out from Karasuma that Jelovich is an assassin hired to get close. They
Mm-hmm.
are surprised that seduction and sex appeal actually worked on Koro Sensei. Because you'd think being an alien that getting hit on would not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Jelovich wants to prove herself, so she goes and tells Koro Sensei to get her Vietnamese coffee from Vietnam, not just from the Vietnamese restaurant on the street. Which that's a joke from me. They don't actually say that. He flies off, and Jelovich says an assassin. She says she's an assassin. Sorry, and kisses Nagisa and asks for information, trying to get in his head.
Ooh.
And then those same street toughs that were trying to harass her come back, and she says those are her goons, and that she'll kill Koro Sensei and anyone that gets in her way, and that she doesn't like students. Or the
Mm-hmm.
students don't like her as well. Is this the one where? Yeah. So in the second sorry, in the next chapter, she plans her assassination, and the students get pissed because she's not actually teaching them; she's just doing her own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And her plan is that she seduces Koro Sensei and brings him back to a storage shed where her three hired goons then try to shoot him with bullets that just melt. Uh, Koro Sensei chastises her for such a lame kill and then tortures her from what a scene we get from the kids' perspective where there was just yelling from the house,
Mm.
which,
I put a note in here wondering if he actually did something or not.
well, see, so
I wouldn't bring that up if there wasn't some kind of suspect there, but it seemed a
I
little.
only say that this is the only part in this entire thing that made me feel uncomfortable, which most manga
Yeah.
don't. But
I mean, they don't openly say it, but at the same time, I'm kind of like,
well, so
I think.
I'll finish this and say why it kind of is skeevy.
Hmm.
So Jelovich exits and she's in a PE outfit and dizzy. And we find
Hmm.
out that he gave her slime back massage and changed her clothes.
Oh, I'm sure.
Uh, well, okay, so the reason it and Jelovich says she's gonna kill him. The reason I don't like it is because from the kid's perspective, even if he didn't, and I kind of don't think he would, because he's not like that.
Yeah.
He's not that kind of guy. They wouldn't, but the fact that he neither confirms nor denies it to the kids is what kind of gets me.
Yeah. Why wouldn't he just openly say it?
Yeah, which that's the thing that got me. I was like, oh, he's trying like
And I don't think there's ever another moment like that I can think of.
no. I mean, they definitely. I mean, there's some very funny moments in later volumes that we're gonna get to.
Hmm.
Uh, that also use that same kind of idea, but it's just so not what we Americans usually think of as comedy.
Yeah, it may not sit as easy for, everyone in America, but it's probably something that doesn't hit as hard over in, you know, Japan or other countries like that. I
Well,
know
I'm
there's a
less.
real difference of opinion as far as stuff like that goes.
Yes, I mean, if you watch like, just think of all those uncensored things in just Yu-Gi-Oh that they had to change for the same reason.
Or not to get too off topic, but what major series was it where the creator had to put his series on hiatus because he had photos of underage minors or something like that,
Oh,
but then they only charged him with, you
yeah, 'cause
know,
didn't I tell you about that?
a couple thousand dollars,
Uh,
and then now
so
Oda
Rurouni
is supposed to be
Kenshin.
yeah, and now Oda is supposed to be doing an interview with him.
Uh, yeah, I do. Watasuki maybe is his name. I
Yeah.
don't. Well,
But
no,
that's
I
like where
just.
not to get
Yeah.
too off topic, but that's where I'm saying there's obviously a difference of opinion on how stuff like that is perceived,
Uh, which that
Eastern and
just
Western.
that makes like I'm not. I really wanted to eat it, and now I'm never gonna eat it just because of that.
Yeah. But anyways, not to get too off topic.
No, not to get into. I'm just thinking from if Irina was in America, she could make some major bank off of a lawsuit.
Yep.
I mean, she can live. She would be able to live for like 3 months, considering courts and stuff, and then he's gonna blow up the world. But she could make some money.
She might make more off of that than she would if she killed him.
Uh,
Maybe not.
no, she's a woman. The courts don't like women.
Yeah.
Yeah, because didn't I tell you this is gonna get way off topic, and we have a lot to do. But when I watched Bombshell,
Mhm.
uh, at the end it says like uh Roger Ames, whatever his name was, and Bill O'Reilly both got like $65 million, and the women collectively got like 25 million. Just to show,
Jeez.
yeah, just to show you what's going on there.
That's crazy. That should,
Anyway,
yeah,
back
go
to
ahead.
actual topic. Jelovich is playing her next big hit. Then the students say that they will actually want help with the college entrance exams, because it's not really clear if they're in high school or middle school. 'Cause I think some,
I always assumed middle school, but
well, yeah. Anyway, she
well, I don't
yells at
know. I guess
them.
it could be high school.
She yells at them and says the word they that they care more about college than saving the world, and that's pointless because they are the worst class ever. They get rightfully pissed off and throw stuff at her. Jelovitz talks to Karasuma, and we find out that Koro Sensei makes individual tests and lessons for the kids. Like he uses his powers to really like give individualized learning.
Which
Which,
again, despite his,
God, I hate him so
evilness,
much. God,
he's really a good guy.
I hate him so much. 'Cause I wish I could do that. The kids practice assassination badminton, which is badminton with knives. That's fun.
Hmm.
Karasuma says that they all play multiple roles while they're at the school, and that she'll have to be a professional by doing that. And so she decides to teach the kids how to seduce foreigners. And very funny panels, which I mentioned,
Please,
her
please
foreigner
tell me you put that in
ideas
there.
are Laura Croft and Jack Sparrow,
I
which
put
I
that in my
thought was
notes
so
too.
funny.
That's really funny.
Uh, Jelovich says that she can help them with conversational skills, and they accept her and start calling her Miss Vitch with a V. And outside Karasuma notes how every time they try to help the kids, uh, if just gives help the kids kill Koro Sensei, it just gives them a better education.
Hmm.
Which this chapter gave me real Yu-Gi-Oh! GX vibes.
Hmm.
And I guess the entire series does, but chapter 11 is one I like a lot, because this is where they have a monthly school assembly, where the entire point is basically to make fun of Class E, because they're supposed to be the lame class, the class at the very bottom. And they do this
Now,
by like withholding the transcript of what's going to happen.
hmm
Uh, and so Koro Sensei makes one by hand for every student just because he's that good. And the rest of the student body react to Karasuma and Irina because they're hot and none of their teachers are hot. And in a great ending, two kids try to harass Nagisa, and he just says that he would kill them, and is like super cold about it. And we see the principal and says that Class C is getting too high and mighty. Yet they put trained assassins in his class. What did they think was going to happen?
That was the highlight with Nagisa for me.
Yeah. I mean, there's something even later on that I love a whole lot more.
Mm-hmm. Well, up to this point, that was the highlight.
Yes, because he's so good. In chapter 12, to study for midterms coming up, Koro Sensei makes speed clones to help every student in Class E, and he has specialized headbands for each subject, and one of them is a Naruto headband.
Funny little Easter egg.
At the end of the day, the principal from the school, Asano, comes and asks how to solve a Rubik's Cube, which I know is actually not that difficult.
I can never figure them out. I'm not gonna lie.
I cannot do them, but I have students and stuff who can.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not difficult, apparently. If you actually try and not study in class, you can do it. If you can do that instead of actually studying, it's not very difficult. So I know it can be done. It's not difficult. Stop using it to make yourself look smart. Anyway, Asano, the principal, lies and said the easiest way is to break it apart. That's not true. And then he threatens Koro Sensei and says he has to make sure Class E stays as it is and be the lowest 5% scapegoat, which is an interesting idea. That you have that motivator for every other student. That for them, their motivation is not to be in Class E, and Class E's motivation is to kill somebody who's going to destroy the world.
It's an interesting balance, but I mean, really, to a certain extent, it probably works really well.
So I did not say this earlier, and I'm going to say why I'm telling you now, that I don't love Nagisa's design because it makes him look too much like a girl sometimes.
I totally agree with that.
And so I only say this because I wrote, upon leaving, Asano runs into Nagisa, who tells her good luck when I'm supposed to write him. So I did do that sometimes.
Yeah, that's fair, because I wasn't sure at first whenever I first started reading it.
At least it's not like the Frieza thing, where Frieza in, the original voice actor was a woman, so you could be mistaken for thinking it was a woman.
Yeah, it was very confusing.
It's a guy now, because that woman did not die. She just can't voice act anymore.
Oh.
Which, yeah, it's sad. What's actually really confusing if you watch Kai, because she did the first line of Frieza at the very beginning, because they show the destruction of planet Vegeta.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you see Frieza again, it's the new voice actor.
Yeah, that'd be a little thrown off, but...
That's weird. You've heard the new voice actor. Not important to this discussion.
Yeah, you're good.
Asano's words about how speed can't solve everything rattles Koro Sensei. He picks up his study speed. The students blow him off about taking the midterms because they'll be fine by just killing him. He learns that if a student gets in the top 50%, they can return to the normal class of the entire school. But most of the Class E students don't even try. Koro Sensei brings the whole class outside. He uses Irina and Karasuma as examples for needing a backup plan. Karasuma then used Koro Sensei, sorry. They both have K's in the 3 syllables. Then blows away the entire field and leave wherever, and says he can leave whenever he wants, and that he tells them to make it into the top 50 or he'll blow the school away and leave. And he wants them to have student pride and assassin pride. The midterms come. I like that we see them as giant question monsters the students have to kill.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite chapter as far as art and design and thought, like actual creativity went into it.
Yes, and how they use the question, like the answers they learned as weapons. It's fun. And then they hit question 11. We then cut to after, where we find out the principal changed the test at the last minute and taught the last lesson himself, which is cheating. They make up excuses that the students of Class E need to be able to think on their feet and not, even though Like, if it's, say, math, for example, if it's a new math concept, you can't just figure that out sometimes.
Well, no, not if you've never seen it before.
No. So that's, I think, cheating, but he's also the bad guy. So, uh, back in the classroom, Koro Sensei is hard on himself for failing the kids because he should have known better. Karma tries to kill him. Koro Sensei dodges and reveals that Karma got ranked 4 in the whole school.
Impressive.
Which, yeah, that just proves how good he is. Uh, Karma taunts Koro Sensei, saying he's just as scared of the kids, and Koro Sensei says he'll pay them back at finals for the final exam.
Mm-hmm.
The students are planning a trip to Kyoto. Okay, so it's this one. On the trip, they will be broken into sightseeing groups and plan assassinations at each kill spot for Koro Sensei. Nagisa teams up with Karma and other students who have names, but I do not know. And so I'll mention now that the weakest thing about the book is how forgettable most of the other characters are.
Yeah,
Students
outside of the ones they I mean, I guess even the 2 that they did a single chapter on, I mean, unless you really focused on that chapter, you're not going to remember which ones they were.
Yeah.
At this point, at least.
Yeah. So I had to use like that opening page when you open up the volume to see who they are and be like, oh, okay. Where was I? And the weakest thing about one of them, we find out carves and does arts and crafts, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Koro Sensei gives out a giant guidebook.
God, that thing's massive.
It is huge, but it's also very funny how they use it. On the day they leave, Class C has to sit and coach while everyone else in the school gets first class.
Mm-hmm.
Irina shows up looking like Hollywood threw up on her, which is a direct quote from Karasuma, which is very funny. So she has to change into like a sweatsuit, like a tracksuit. Karasuma misses the train and has to ooze on, like slip in. We don't actually see that happen, but he has to do it. While on the train, a group of inner city students run into a group of girls from Nagisa's group. They say they'll pay them back for being snotty brats when they get to Kyoto. And we see that one of them has stolen a travel notebook from one of the students.
Yep.
Not the giant one. Classy arrives in Kyoto. Kanzaki, one of the girls in the group and the one who lost her notebook, says that she lost her notebook as well. Koro Sensei has to fly back because he forgot his pillow. That's important, I guess.
Yeah, lucky you can fly that fast.
He's a baby. Nagisu's group scopes out their spot. They note how many assassinations took place in Kyoto. It's a Kyoto assassination capital.
Mm-hmm.
The ruffians say how they'll return her book to her in a very threatening way. This all collides when Kanzaki takes the group to a row of shops that's off the beaten path. The ruffians strike and kidnap Kanzaki and another girl, whose name I learn later. The leader of the ruffians says how he recognizes Kanzaki from an arcade nearby, and how he hates rich people slumming it with them and ruin everything. Which, I mean, rich people do suck, to be fair.
Yeah.
We get a flash of the famous ruined Jesus painting. Do you remember that?
Vaguely? Maybe I just didn't recognize it.
Yeah, that's what it is. Where it's like there's supposed to be this picture of Jesus painting, and they tried to restore it, but it made it look like even worse.
Yeah.
Back with Nagisa, they wake up one of the girls, Okudo. Hey, look, there she is again. And she was able to hide from everything. They debate what to do, only to see that Koro Sensei put an index in his giant book about what would happen if students got abducted.
Of course. Of course, there's a whole thing for it.
I mean, it's just natural. You always need that. We get a recap what happened in the last chapter, as the ruffians threaten Kanzaki and Kade, I think is what I put.
Well, that was the end of that volume, right?
Is it?
Yeah, chapter 17 is the start of volume 3.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I
No, you're
was
good.
in the wrong spot.
You're good.
Anyway, yes. Yeah, because that's how. Oh, I'll mention this point now,
Mm-hmm.
because I went to visit my parents for one of the breaks
Mm-hmm.
and brought these books with me. And my mom, you know her, she's a nice lady, uh, saw the title because I just had it on my bed, and she's like, I don't like that book. I don't like its title. It's scary. You shouldn't be reading it.
uh,
Does she know how old I am?
maybe that's something you should start teaching in your classroom. Maybe you should have that as a viable reading option.
I mean, I have the Full Metal Alchemist light novels in my room.
Yeah, but you should have this one in there. I mean, it's got a great title for like a school teacher.
That's true, but
Uh,
I don't
I
want
wonder.
these.
I wonder how
Well,
long
okay.
before you got in trouble for it.
Well, that's not even what I'm worried about. I'm worried about a kid checking it out, and it's just gone.
Oh, well, that too.
And then which is why I have not pulled from my collection. I just usually find stuff and bring it in. Because if it's my personal collection, it's gone. I'm like, well, there goes that.
Yeah, heck with them kids. Let's steal your stuff. Keep
Anyway,
keep giving them the rundown books.
anyway, volume 2 is good. It's fine. It's just more of the same.
It does have my favorite chapter in it up to this point, I think. With it
Yeah,
being chapter 14
yeah,
with the whole test taken. I thought that was visually probably his best chapter that
yeah.
he's had as far as the artistic style goes and the, like I say, creativity as far as making the questions, enemies and the answers or weapons.
Yeah,
It was
that's
it was
good.
pretty good because it's hard to make something like a test exciting, and I was curious to see how he would do it, and he nailed it.
Because the other option is to do the Death Note thing and just
Hmm.
make it the most outrageous like way you could possibly do it and keep it pretty basic.
For some reason, I'm picturing the chip eating part.
But that no, that's 100% it, right? Where he's like, I'm gonna take this pencil and circle it. Now I can just imagine. I have not watched the anime for this, but I could just imagine that scene. It's like a parody of that scene, and instead of like a giant circle, it's just a little like dot. It's like
Ima-
whoop.
Imagine if in the show for this, uh, they went full on with this one specific chapter and made it like a 6 episode long chapter of them answering the questions, full
That
fighting anime style.
that 100% would have been if it was made in the 90s and was Dragon Ball Z, right? Like
Yeah.
if this was Dragon Ball Z, they'd be given the time limit of okay, you have an hour, and 30 episodes later, Nagi says like, answer 7, I will end you. And then
Six questions, 6 episodes, one question per episode.
per kid, which is like 30 kids. Oh my
Yeah.
God, this show would still be on. Anyway, uh, going
Other than
back to the
that,
actual show, the book.
yeah, other than that, I wasn't up to this point. I'm not really excited about the whole trip that they're on.
No,
I
it's
don't, I
fine.
don't really like. I mean, it's all right,
I
but
like
I'm just not
I
on board
like
with it.
I like chapter 18 a lot.
Yeah, going into. Oh yeah, I had a couple things I wanted to say about that one,
I
but
like that one.
we can
But
go ahead into volume 3 if you want, unless you have
yeah,
anything else for volume 2.
no, because I didn't do any of this by volume. So
Yeah, I got you.
uh anyway, so I and to said what happened at the beginning. We get gags about just how thorough the guidebook is. Kanzaki divulges that she went to the arcades to run away from her parents because she has those kind of problems,
Yeah, everybody does.
and that she's
in,
not
in this show or this series.
yeah, and that she's confused about who she really is. The ruffians get very rapey.
Um, okay, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This would be a second instance where things got a little interesting.
I mean, I'm less concerned here because we're not supposed to root for it because they're the bad guys.
Yeah.
But Nagisa shows up, so everything is good. The ruffians have friends who are taken out by when Koro Sensei arrives, which is very funny.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're like, we have people at the door and they come in and Kamo knocks those guys out. And then they're like, okay, we got more guys. And Koro Sensei knocks those guys out. Uh, Koro Sensei says that he checked out all the other possible location hideouts in the travel guide and then figured it was this one. He tells the ruffians that his students don't look down on one another because they were seen as the lowest of the low, and no hurting others would not make them better. So then they all leave, I guess, because we don't actually see how it ends after that.
Yeah.
Chapter 18, which I like a lot, shows what is happening while Nagisa's group deals with that, as we get introduced to Assassin Red Eye,
Yeah, it's just
who
a
is
complete solo chapter, which was kind of
which
surprising, but
yeah
was awesome.
yeah. So it follows him trying to kill Koro Sensei and failing every time. Red Eye gets a call from Kurosuma to stop because of the events in the last chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Afterward, Red Eye laments his failure, only for Koro Sensei to show up and take him to dinner. And how Koro Sensei really likes the sniper for getting his students really engaged with the city,
Because it turns out the kids were actually trying to find good spots for the sniper.
which is good.
Hmm.
Afterwards, Red Eye calls up Kurosuma and cancels because he wants to expand his worldview because he's called Red Eye from looking down the red eye of his sight. So I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I wish I could have seen shoot even a whole one-off volume with him in it. For some reason, there's something about him. He doesn't get much in this chapter, but for some reason, I wanted to see more about him.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. This actually, I like this chapter too, chapter 19. Where at the hotel, all of the classmates bond. We
Mm.
see Kanzaki playing video games. The students try to peep on Koro Sensei in the bathtub, which just to get a weakness on him,
Vis-
I guess.
yeah, visually very funny.
Well, yeah, because it's funny because his body creates a natural bubble cube that allows him to escape.
Yeah.
Uh, in the boys' dorm, they talk about the girls they like, and Kama mentions that he likes Okuda
Hmm.
because she can make scary potions.
Seems fitting for him.
Yeah. Uh, they notice Koro Sensei writing everything down, which is very funny because he wants to write a novel,
Oh, and
a
he always has
memoir.
that face too.
They
That
all take off and chase him.
hmm
Uh, with the girls, we discover that Irina is only 20, which makes everything even creepier with her.
Mm.
I mean, she's legal, but still very weird. They ask about her love life, and Koro Sensei sneaks in. They try to get him to confess about anyone that he likes. Uh, leg, was it? Leg octopus or boob octopus is very funny. They ask if
Funny
he's a
line.
leg guy or a boob guy.
Yep.
They neglect butt, which is also very interesting. That's just something I realize now.
Yeah, I was
Koro
just thinking about
Sensei
that.
escapes. Nagisa and Kaide reflect on how much they want to get done before school ends. Koro Sensei hides out in Kama's room. Kama asks about what happened when he only had two arms, which means there's more going on than we know about.
Yeah, that was an interesting comment that he made, which makes me think that he knows a little bit more as to, Korra's backstory and everything. But I like how he said, even on a school trip, it's rude to ask how many limbs somebody used to have.
That's true. I mean, it always is. You can't. It reminded me of Mean Girls, where you just can't ask somebody why they're white.
Hmm.
You can't ask how many limbs somebody has.
And I don't know if you noticed it, or if you made a note of it, but you know how he always has, not always, but he'll sometimes have like a little drawing after the chapter.
No, I did not look at those. Sometimes I did, but I
Okay,
didn't pay much attention.
so I'm looking at it right now, the one after this chapter. It's of Koro as a starfish, and it says when he had two arms and legs.
That is actually very good.
That was really funny.
That's very good. Uh, in chapter 20, Karasuma answers to the world government about his failure in Kyoto. They spitball ideas. They suggest a missile, but they know Koro Sensei. There we go.
Yeah.
Better out than in. I'm only drinking water, by the way, so this is all natural. But we find out that Koro Sensei can just repair them with ease. A third says that they have augmented transfer students who are trained assassins.
Nice.
Upon returning to the school, they find a giant black box who introduces herself as artillery unit. During a lesson, it shoots Koro Sensei. He dodges it, then fires again. And this time, a single BB hits one of his tentacles. AI says that this rate she'll have a 90% chance of killing him at graduation, setting up a pretty good next plot, I think.
Yeah.
I do like how, because we watched Ex Machina together when that came out.
Yeah, I do remember that, yeah.
And I said my takeaway from it is that all AI should just be black boxes.
I mean, it makes sense. What's the point in actually building a whole body for it if it can just do everything without having to move like that?
So, I mean...
And be extra creepy cyborg versions.
I mean, they don't listen to us here, as we find out later, but...
Yeah.
Stationary artillery continues to try and assassinate Koro Sensei during class. She fails and makes a big mess. Next day, she awakes to find herself wrapped up. When she accuses Koro Sensei, he says that the students did because they were tired of being constantly distracted.
Mm-hmm.
That evening, Koro Sensei talks to the AI, and he helps upgrade her in order to better fit in and take her classmates' need into account, which is very sweet of him. He also asks for a favor. The next morning, we find out that she's gone full Hatsune Miku, with like a full avatar and everything.
Yeah.
Which apparently, I only know this because I have students who are big into those kind of idols, that there's more than just Hatsune Miku.
Mm-hmm.
I do not know any of their names, so don't ask me.
Yeah, don't ask me either.
Koro Sensei goes over the features and asks how much they would pay because it wiped out his bank account doing all of that stuff. To be fair, that's very accurate.
Yeah.
The students are leery of artillery, but they see how helpful and nice she has become and warm up to her. She even has upstage Koro Sensei, which makes him sulk off.
Mm-hmm.
They give her the name Ritsu, and she just becomes one of the class. At night, her creators show up and are furious. They reset her to the factory default. The next day, the students are shocked. Karasuma says that she was tampered with and will sue the next student who tapes her up. As class begins, Ritsu goes into attack mode only to reveal flowers. She says she hid most of her upgrades away in her own memory to rebel against her parents and help learn from her classmates.
What an interesting, like, techno, I don't know, robot with consciousness plot line this whole thing is.
It is, right? Because it's not where you think it would go.
Yeah. And that's the one thing about a lot of these plot lines he brings in. It always seems to go in a way that you weren't expecting. Not always, but a lot of times it gives you something that you weren't expecting.
No. And I only make a note of this because this is how I ended that chapter for that chapter. Irina makes a face with her boobs as a joke to harass Karasuma.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, now her lawsuit that she would have against Koro Sensei is now gone.
Yeah, it's out the window. She's done.
Because now she's just as bad.
We should have a show where we pretend to be lawyers defending a certain character from some kind of series or something like this.
That is amazing, by the way.
Fake courtroom defense and prosecution against
Can
somebody.
can we record that literally right now? We'll just pause this and do that now.
Like
Uh,
you come at me with the whole event that happened in the first or the second volume, and then I'm just like, okay, but here a couple weeks later on this event in this chapter, it seems that she made a face with them, and unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say that kind of shows somewhat of an intent on her part, and I'm gonna have to say your case is kind of shot now.
oh my God, I want to do that right away. It's the rainy season. Kura Sensei's head is huge and he's growing mushrooms. You good?
Yeah.
Uh, on the way home from school, Meihara of Class E is walking with his girlfriend when a boy from Class C shows up. The girlfriend turns on Meihara and the boy beats him up. The school principal, Asano, comes and stops the fight. He says he would have suspended Meihara for fighting, even as he did nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Nagisa and the others help him. They reflect on how they would act, and that how they would have acted if they weren't in Class C like he was, like they are.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is an interesting idea. Kura Sensei is watching and taking notes for his memoir, and says he'll help take revenge for Meihara.
With his big, gigantic head.
Yes. It's like a sponge, right? Like,
Yeah.
I know this is not what they did, but they should have gotten the voice actor for SpongeBob to do the dub of him, right?
Oh my God, that'd be hilarious.
They probably did not. They probably cannot afford him, but that is what they should have done.
I'll tell you what, his head, face, all that stuff is some of the funniest parts in here because it's always completely unexpected.
There's the one later when we get to the baseball stuff that I love.
Mm-hmm.
His head's a baseball and he keeps peeking
Yeah.
up and down like he's a mole. But before we get to that, the two students, Seo and Kana, are at a cafe being total douchebags.
Mm-hmm.
Which I like this chapter a lot. This one I like a lot. Two old people walk by and try to sit by them. From an adjacent building, we learn that they are Nagisa and Kaide. In the building, Okuda made special BBs. The two best marksmen load up. They have names, but I don't know what they are. Kaide goes to the bathroom. Nagisa distracts the students by knocking his food over. The students yell at him. The marksmen strike and shoot BBs into their drinks. They sip their coffee, only to feel liquid brown coming on.
Yes.
They rush to the bathroom, but Kaide is held up in there. They take off to one by a convenience store down the road. They keep yelling at each other. As they pass, a group of trees fall and collapse after Class E cuts them down using their ninja skills and help neighbors trim their bushes. Which is, that's nice of them.
Yeah.
The students make it to the convenience store but are humiliated. Kura Sensei asks Meihara how he feels. He says that he sees that Class E, everyone has a special skill that makes them stand out and be special, and that you need those skills to come together. Which is, I think, like that, it just occurred to me, that whole if everyone's special, nobody is thing.
Mm-hmm. It's important.
But that saying doesn't take into account that you could be special at different stuff.
Yeah.
Which I think is a more interesting idea. So you need all of those specialities to come together.
And again, this chapter really showed what he, as a writer, is able to come up with as far as showing assassination progression without it being full-blown trying to kill somebody.
Yeah, it's not like, edgy and evil or nothing. It's just being,
Funny
giving
and
comeuppance. Yeah, it's giving comeuppance to kids who deserve it.
Yeah.
Checking back in with Irina, she teaches the students how to lose their accents by learning the L and R, which F me because I can't say that last one very well. Uh, so he personally hates me. Leave me alone. Uh, anyway, Irina makes the students watch dirty sitcoms and make sexual jokes the entire time. So her case now is
hate to
officially
say it,
gone,
but
right?
you better get her ready for prison. I'm gonna turn this on her for doing it to the kids now.
I mean,
So now you need to have the defense instead of the prosecution.
it's like if for teaching sex ed in school they just put it on the show Sex Education,
Oof.
which I mean it's a good show, but gosh, that's not what you want to do. After school, Irina and Koro Sensei argue. She returns to class only to be trapped in a noose. A man in a trench coat comes up. Karasuma comes in and forces him to cut her down. His name is Jaro or Jarvo, one of those.
Mm-hmm.
He is an assassin turned teacher and broker. He tells Irina that she's done and the transfer students will be taking over because she's a terrible assassin. Koro Sensei breaks him up and says that she's the best assassin for the class and will have a competition to prove it. And that's the end of volume 3.
Yeah. So this one, I think, as a whole, was a lot stronger than the last volume. The last one still had my favorite chapter, I think. I don't know that I've actually had one that's better. Maybe the one with red in it.
Yeah, I
it's
like
not
that.
as good, but that's definitely one of my favorites.
I like both the Red Eye one and the hotel one a lot. And then all the stuff with Ritsu, it probably could have been done in one chapter.
Yeah, but it was a better arc than I would say the school trip was, easily.
Yeah.
That school trip was really I mean, it's not that it was bad, it just I didn't really care too much for it until we got to see Red.
No, yeah, it's not. I see what he's trying to do with it, but
Yeah.
it didn't work.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, and it definitely looks like, we're not only are we getting more growth for the students and everything, but we're getting more exploring the assassination world as far as bringing in, God, what was his name? The one in the last, yeah.
Larvo.
Br-
I actually figured out what it was this time, and it's
br-
Larvo.
bringing him in also expands this bigger world of assassins with Vitch and
Yes.
everyone else.
Yeah. Which, does that continue? That seems like something that would continue.
I will not tell you.
Fantastic.
Unfortunately,
does John Wick show up?
If we didn't, I don't remember if we said it in the beginning, but I have finished all of it, and you are still on which volume?
I'm going to do it as we go through this. So the next time we come back to Assassination Classroom is when I'm going to read more of it.
Okay, so you're really only, 5 volumes in then?
Yeah. I have
Okay,
more of it, just haven't read it.
Yeah, mine's more of just a refresher, but I don't want to spoil anything for you either, because it makes it more interesting that way.
Karasuma teaches class but is on guard. In a flashback, Koro-sensei picks him as a mutual target for Lovro and Irina to kill. After class, Irina tries to get close with a drink and a helpless damsel routine, both of which fail because we know better.
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards, Karasuma asks Koro-sensei what happens if he evades, and Koro-sensei says he will remain still for a whole second. Which the payoff for this is amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
I love how that ends. In the teacher's lounge, Lavro jumps through the window, but Karasuma disarms him pretty easily and threatens Koro-sensei.
Mm-hmm.
Following the events of that, Lavro talks about how he knows Irina can't kill Karasuma because she's only good at getting close, but not when they already know who she is.
Yeah.
But Koro-sensei dismisses that. At lunch, Irina approaches Karasuma at the usual eating tree. While there, Koro-sensei and Lovro comment on how her only skill is sexuality. Core Sensei is like, that is wrong. Uh, Irina flirts with Karasumo and removes her jacket. Very, very tantalizing, I'm sure. It's a whole jacket.
Hmm.
God, just imagine if she had spaghetti straps.
Ooh.
I don't think anybody could focus. Uh,
Yeah, your case is way out the window now.
she's wearing spaghetti straps, Shane. We're done. Core Sensei says that Irina works hard. She knows 10 languages and has
Ooh.
picked up teaching. Well, I mean, that is impressive.
Well, I guess
Well, maybe
I'll
for
give her
us,
that.
maybe for Japanese, that's not impressive. But she's
I'll
picked up,
give her that one.
she's picked up teaching all by herself. She then reveals her tripwire. She strings up Karasuma and gets on top of him and stabs him or tries to stab him only to be blocked. She begs to let her stab him and he relents, saying how he knew Kora Sensei wouldn't play fair with his own rules anyway. The students are happy to see that she is staying, and Lavro tells her that she works hard. In the end, we see a giant set of octopus armor Kora Sensei made in case Kazuma won,
Hmm.
which I like that one a lot.
Yeah, that
I
was
like
funny.
that a lot.
And it was really a development for her too.
Yes, so I like that chapter a lot. It's very fun. The next one I'll go to quickly because it's just Kora Sensei takes kids to the movies to see. Uh, it's supposed to be a superhero movie but it's called like Sonic Ninja or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know why that would be opening in America before Japan, but okay.
Well, it's Sonic Ninja. I mean, you know, I think
Are
it's
you a
cool.
giant Sonic Ninja fan? Is this why I find out you have a limited edition issue one of Sonic Ninja?
Yes.
So,
No
and
hesitation, just yes.
well, okay. So, Bloodshot, this will make sense in a minute. Bloodshot is a Valiant hero, not just Valiant Universe hero.
Hmm.
And in that universe, there is a superhero called Ninjak.
Hmm.
So there you go. Maybe it's him. Maybe this is actually a Ninjak film.
Maybe.
Uh, anyway, he has them write a review in English of the movie, so it actually counts for something. And then a man says Koro Sensei is his big brother and will get revenge.
Yes. Very interesting part.
So some of this I both really enjoy and actually do not like at all,
Hmm.
which we can get into.
Yeah, go ahead.
Karasuma gets the email that the transfer students are coming. The next day, Koro Sensei informs the class. Ritsu says that they trained together and were supposed to be brought in at the same time, but he is too strong. The robed guy from before says he is named Shiro, even though
Hmm.
he looks like a KKK member. Uh,
Oof. I didn't think about that till you just said something. That's
and
bad.
introduces his ward to the students. He says he can be awkward, and then just on cue, the guy breaks through the wall and takes his seat in the back of the classroom, as you do.
Oh, because that's entirely normal.
It is. I mean, I guess for some people. You know what? His name is Itono, but I think it should be called Kool-Aid. Oh yeah. Uh I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I just quoted Family Guy.
Well,
I mean,
I'll let those jokes slide.
I don't know. I like some of Family Guy stuff. Some of that stuff has really stuck with me. I sent you one. I sent you a gift that has stuck with me for a long time. So which is it? 5 or 10? Which is it?
5, maybe
Which
10.
Well, that joke is funny because it's referencing masturbation, and it's like 5 or 10. Well, which
Oof.
is it? Uh, Itona says Kama is weaker than him, and he says he'll kill Koa Sensei because they are siblings.
Which is
Uh,
interesting.
We get a reference that montages Dragon Ball with
Mm-hmm. Very good one.
Raditz and Goku, I believe. And then Big Wind Up is I think the other one, but I do
That I
not
couldn't
know.
tell you.
But I only know that because I saw that on Hulu, and I assume that's what
Mm-hmm.
it's from. There's a dozen baseball manga, so there you go. And the students like us are confused. The students speculate how Itona and Koro Sensei are siblings. At lunch, Itona copies where everything Koro Sensei does, and we get a whole bunch of different theories. After class, the two enter a deathmatch cage with desks. Shiro says that if Koro Sensei leaves, he accepts defeat. Koro Sensei agrees as long as Itona does not harm any of the students.
Fair enough.
Itona strikes, and we find out he has Koro Sensei tentacles for hair.
Which is an
Uh,
interesting twist.
it is because we find out Koro Sensei has a flashback to some death he may have caused, and
Mm-hmm.
if that's related. He says he has a question for Shiro, and then Shiro hits him with a laser, and now Koro Sensei is solid based on new information that we got from the movie chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I like this one. I like chapter 31 a lot.
Yeah, and it's really, I mean, overall, the last chapter and the end of the movie one are really starting to pick up as far as um, more story information goes to his past and everything. And I'm just really liking the artwork too.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like all the cutaways of what could have happened. That's not interesting at all.
Yeah.
And because it kind of just ends and doesn't come back, I was kind of let down by that. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm sure it
That's
comes
fair.
back later,
Yeah, that's fair.
but immediately does not. Itona has Koro Sensei on the ropes, and he exposes the weaknesses the students didn't even know about and some that we did know about because we have been reading this and we just get them in like in sidebars.
Mm-hmm.
As he's about to die, Nagisa looks at his knife uh, and feels wrong for not figuring out how to beat him. Koro Sensei says he's never been cornered, but Shio forgot something. Itona attacks only to have stabbed Nagisa's knife, which, because they share tentacles, work on him just as well as they basically work on each other. And it slows Itona down. Koro Sensei wraps him up in a shred of his own skin and throws him out the window. He says he'll teach Itona to gain experience. Itona hates learning and being weak. He freaks out and begins attacking indiscriminately, which I like a lot
Yeah, that
because
got really cool.
it's paying off all of the stuff we've learned about him
Mm-hmm.
that we think are just one-off gags, but then they bring it all back together in like this giant chapter where it's like all that
It's
stuff is
impressive.
important. All that throwaway gag stuff is important and comes back.
It's very impressive writing that you don't usually see with a whole lot of these series, but some of
No,
them can pull it off pretty well, and he's hitting it really well.
yeah, that because it's so subtle.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. And it feels like something that he didn't plan. It just sort of happened.
Yeah, he just kind of walked right into it.
Itona jumps into the classroom only for Shiro to knock him out with a dart or something.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Shiro says he'll take responsibility for teaching Itona and get him ready. Koro Sensei tries to stop him, but the robes are made out of the same material that Koro Sensei is weak to, so it just melts him. They leave. They just leave. The students ask to learn the truth. Koro Sensei is upset. Excuse me.
Nice.
His image of being mysterious and wise and comedic is broken because he's had to face actual threats now. He says he was artificially created and not an alien, which is a giant bombshell.
I had that theory back, like I wrote a note in there in the first volume that I had that theory, but I
Really?
originally had that theory too. Yeah.
Oh, I had no. I just assumed he was an alien. I mean,
It was when I think in the first chapter when there's that first flashback of him and the teacher, I think.
yeah, I guess. I mean, we don't know what's going on really, or at least I don't know.
Yeah, at that point I wasn't entirely sure what was going on, but I had the suspicion that he wasn't entirely alien.
Hmm. Uh, and Koa Sensei says the only way that will happen is if they can kill him, and so the students ask for extracurricular killing classes.
Mm-hmm.
And that is pretty good. I feel his arcs though are still kind of a little bit too long, some of them.
They're either too long or they aren't completely sharp all the way through. Like
No.
this one kind of abruptly ended when they just up and left out of nowhere, like just kind of, oh, I'll take responsibility for it, and then they left. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah, that's kind of too easy, right?
Mm-hmm. So I mean, they're getting better, but he still needs to sharpen them up a little bit. No pun intended as far as the knife goes, but
I think the last and major one we get in Volume 5, which we'll get to, I think is the best one by far.
I think it's is it the one that's starting next?
No, the next one's the baseball one.
Okay, I think I like the baseball one a lot.
I do. I'm not as big a fan of it, but it's got some good moments.
Yeah, I like how useful it is because it kind of reminds me back in chapter two.
Yeah, because it's paying off that.
Mm-hmm.
Because we check back in with Sugino, who watches his old baseball team practice. The students act high and mighty, but the captain, who has a name, and every time I went to write these, I automatically forgot what it was. Like
Shindo.
immediately, huh?
Shindo?
Maybe it is. That is a name just forgettable enough for me to forget. Just basic enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like Shane. Who could remember that name?
I don't even know. Whose name is that?
I don't know.
What's my name?
Corey, I believe.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure you remembered.
And we are CNC Music Factory now.
That's what we're doing? God, I don't even know what's happening right now.
I had, yeah. Anyway, yes, probably Shindo. It's super unmemorable, and I forgot it every time, so I just called him the captain.
He's the
And
pretty jock boy.
yeah, and he's the star pitcher after Sugino left because he got moved into Class E.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out that after the inter-school competition, that Class C is brought out as like the whipping boy to get crushed in girls basketball and men's baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And Sugino says he wants to win. So Koro Sensei becomes Coach Koro, and is how I refer to him throughout this entire arc.
Coach Cora.
Which, yeah, that's one of
Mm.
my favorite things. Just that look he has. Where he has like the baseball shirt, and then he has like like a baseball face.
Yeah, and
It's
then
good.
later on when he's in the ground.
It's very good. At the end of the day, at the game they line up. Coach Koro hides among the baseballs, and he signal by changing colors. The new captain tells tells Sugino, uh, that he is one of the most skilled and chosen of the baseball players.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's fine. Uh, the game starts. The captain gets one strike in before the students start bunting to the weak zone, which uh, is just like Derek in The Outsider,
Yeah.
which is only interesting to us because we recorded those on the same day.
Lucky for us.
In a flashback, the students train with Coach Koro on his 186 mile per hour fastball.
Yeah, because
Just a
that's
little,
fair.
just a little excess. Hey, I mean it helps, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Coach Koro practices using the captain's stance and throw so they can know exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
The bases are loaded. Sugino goes up to the bat and hits a grand slam. The captain feels like he's being hunted, which that metaphor doesn't really work, but it's trying to tie into that assassination thing.
Yeah.
The coach of the school gets approached by Asano, and the coach says that he's sick, and the principal takes over,
Of
as you
course.
do.
Darn principal.
So that ends volume 4, and it's just
Yeah.
building.
Yeah, and I'd say, I kind of like the baseball thing because it's bringing back what was kind of set up in the second chapter, so it's making
Yeah.
it relevant. Um, but I think the other arc was the more interesting and impactful arc out of this volume.
Yes,
Definitely more to take from that.
the now I just only can think of his name as Kool-Aid. Itano?
Yeah, I think that sounds right. We'll
Kool-Aid.
just call him Mr. Kool-Aid for now.
With Kool-Aid hair.
Yeah, Mr. Kool-Aid.
So yeah, it's fine. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I
This is
mean
all good. It's
it's good.
hard. It's one of those things where it's hard to tell, like, because it's like it's all pretty much good. If
Yeah,
once we
I
start
think the
reviewing,
oh god.
once we start reviewing bad stuff, then we can be like, that one was not as good. But most of this is
Hmm.
pretty much all the same quality.
And I'll tell you, a lot of series you can tell by this point whether or not it's going to continuously grow and be good. But like I told you in the very beginning, I remember for the longest time keeping up with the weekly chapter rankings, and this one was always pretty high up there. And that was pretty good because if I remember right, that was when the big three were still coming out.
Yeah, which I'm sure we would do with the big three at some point.
Hmm. Yeah.
But uh, anyway, I don't want to give anything away.
No, you're good.
Uh, Volume 5,
Which
which
is
I
our
think,
final volume for this little breakdown.
yes, which this has been. I thought that when we recorded The Outsider, that would be the longest, but no, this is going to be longer.
Yeah, this one's, I mean, it is what it is. I don't
I
mind it.
mean, I like it. I like all of
Yeah.
this stuff, so it's not really it's not like a slog like some other stuff we're going to do is going to be.
Hmm.
The
Ugh,
girls finished their
52
basket.
ever.
It's going to be great. What are you talking about? You know what? The first episode's not going to be bad. It's going to be episode like 33 where we're like, this is a terrible idea. Why did we decide to do this?
I think I'm gonna save the drinking game week for when it starts to get to that point.
It's
That'll
a
be my
slog.
refresher. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be my refresher. It'd be like, okay, it's time to do the drinking game version of it.
Anyway, back on topic. The baseball game continues, but Asano has moved all of the defense into the infield. Uh, and this gets them all out the next inning. Uh, After that, Coach Koro instructs Koma to make them mad. Koma does so by insulting how they must not know how to play defense.
Mhm.
The game continues, and Kurosuma notes how similar but different Koro Sensei and Asano are. The chapter ends with one of the baseball team's men coming up to bunt. We end this arc by the baseball team using the exact same method Class E used and load up all the bases, just in time for the captain to come up to the plate. Uh,
Hopefully, which is a very interesting visual. I don't know if you
yeah.
remember that one.
Well, we're not even up to that point yet. So Coach Koro tells Kama to move up. He and another student move into the infield, knowing that the umpire and Asano can't call foul because his team did the same thing.
Hmm.
So he can't even call him out on his nonsense. Uh, Only Kama and the student moving way too close, like breaking personal space there.
Like, given what we're doing right now, you would probably be in a lot of trouble for doing, or what's going on right now.
3 feet, man, 3 feet. Uh,
They might be
Asano,
arrested.
Asano says it's okay, and that if they get hit, then they will be penalized for it. That doesn't happen, thanks to the reaction skills for trying to kill Koro Sensei. They're too
Hmm.
fast.
Of course, it
Uh,
brings that back into something practical.
they get
Like,
inside the captain's head. They get 2 strikes, and a third ball flies into the air. Class E gets a triple and wins the game. Asano concedes the victory. Sugino talks to his old rival and said that his team helped him win, but he wants to face him again in high school,
Mm-hmm.
which is nice.
Yeah,
So that's
good development there throughout that arc. I mean, it wasn't as anything as big, but it was a good kind of a palate cleanser, a bit of a breather coming off of the Kool-Aid
yeah.
Man arc.
Yes, I guess it is, right? Because that one was super
Yeah,
heavy.
yeah. It's
Uh,
just a good balance. I think that's what I like so much about having an arc like that come right off to it. It makes sense, it fits, it calls back to earlier in the series, and then it's just a good kind of calm down chapter or arc before you pick up into going into the big stuff again.
yeah, which we get one more. I don't want to say filler because filler implies that it's not canon, right?
Yeah, more of just a one-off in a way.
Yeah, more just a single chapter where it's summertime because uh Japanese schools are off, so it makes like reading it difficult and confusing some because it's July now, but yet they're
Hmm.
still in school. And this is a chapter where we meet Suguya, who does a lot of in tattoos and stuff, and he
Hmm.
has super detailed henna tattoos, and he tries to use it to kill Koro Sensei, but it doesn't work. Koro Sensei is upset because he wanted actual henna tattoos. Uh, Arina comes in revealing in even more revealing clothing than usual. She freaks out at the sight of everyone being tattooed, slips up and faints, as you do. And then they draw all over her, and she wakes up looking like a samurai zombie lady and tries to shoot them with a gun. I like this chapter a
Very,
lot. It's very funny.
very cool visual too.
It's
His
also
art is
what,
really, his art is really impressive.
yeah. That's also that visual is also the back of that volume,
Hmm.
like the art in the back, which is cool. Uh, Doing this, Sugiya says that he wants to put into class E. He was put into class E because his grades were bad and wasted time drawing. But when they draw on assignments, Core Sensei responds to them and like really kind of plays off of that, which is nice.
Yeah.
In this final arc, that is, ooh, it's long.
Yeah, it's a couple chapters, isn't it?
Yeah,
One, two, three, four, five, five or
yeah,
six,
five.
right?
Yeah, five. Which is long for this. When we get to One Piece or whatever, then it's gonna be volumes
That
long.
Yeah, that one it'll be more like not as detailed chapter by chapter, but it'll be long. It'll be a long discussion too.
Yeah. Uh, I'll tell you afterwards, but when you do like, I would say the easiest ones I would think would be when we do like Bleach or whatever, when it's like they fight. Next chapter, they fight.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like even with One Piece, it would be more like just a quick breakdown of the
Yeah.
important points that happened, just because we'd be looking at it by the major, the
Arcs.
major
Yeah.
sagas. And I mean, when you've got 12 volumes like that, you kind of just have to do a quick summary. But that's a good thing about, series like that is that they're not as, um, I don't want to say detailed per chapter, but not like this series is.
Well, because this is also a much different kind of
Yeah, series. Yeah.
series. In a flashback, Karasuma is selected to train the students of Class C by the Prime Minister because of his drill instruction skills and intelligence work. At the school, he comments on how everyone has grown. He's the most shocked when he gets that killer instinct vibe from Nagisa,
Which I love the snake visual there.
and it gets even better
Hmm.
later. In a flashback, they mention bringing someone into assistant training. That person arrives. His name is Takaoka, and
Hmm.
he's a really big guy who loves sweets and tries to eat and bond with the students.
And he's a super nice guy.
And the agent says that is worried because Takaoka is a psychopath.
No, look how nice he looks.
Indeed, it's really weird. Well, it
He's a
works, right?
good guy, okay? He might just be misunderstood.
He is exactly right. He is one of those you'd be like, he's a nice guy. You know what? He is someone who would go up to women and be like, I don't understand. I'm a nice guy.
I'll defend him in our theoretical courtroom.
Okay. Good luck with that. He doesn't do actual war crimes, but he's pretty skeezy.
He hasn't done anything yet, and you're already trying him. We'll see where your evidence goes.
I mean, he literally wears a fedora and says, "You all don't like me because I'm too nice," and then slut shames women for dating. That's not okay. He's a nice guy.
We'll get to that.
None of that actually happens, but he'd totally be that guy. Takaoka reaffirms that he is their new PE teacher, and so Karasuma can work on other aspects of his job. Koro Sensei tells Karasuma that only he's the right teacher for these kids. Takaoka says that Karasuma hasn't trained them enough in the amount of time. Karasuma says that the school and study comes first. And Takaoka shows a picture of his old trainees, and they're all smiling and happy together. So you know what, Shane? Maybe you have a point.
Yeah, I mean, those are
His
just
men love
tattoos,
him.
right?
What do you mean? His men love. We haven't gotten to that.
Oh, okay.
really
My fault.
yet.
My fault.
So you already given
Yeah,
the game away.
His men love him.
You give the game away there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure. Then they go to Takaoka's class, and then he gives them a schedule that makes training most of every day. And the students flip out and say the principal allowed it because that means they can't study and get better as actual students.
Mm-hmm.
Takaoka knees a student in the chest like a good guy.
But he does it with a smile. He's doing it lovingly.
Yeah. It's just like it's like giving kids a spanking just because you count them, it means it's okay.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of Netflix stand-ups.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched one with Taylor Tomlinson, she's a new comedian.
Mm-hmm.
And she has a very funny joke where she's like, I got beat so much, they actually thought that's why God made butts for, was to get slapped. Was for when you mouth off at the Olive Garden, she says specifically. It's very funny. Kasuma goes to the teacher's lounge and he finds a second picture showing this old trainees with scars on their back.
Those are tattoos.
The tattoos? Oh, okay.
It's just so that it looks like, they went through a lot.
They were flogged, would you say?
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Self-inflicted.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Takaoka monologues that he treats them like family so they will be happy, and he rewards them, but punishes them harshly when they fight back at all. Kanzaki, who was a video game kidnappy lady, says she wants Karasuma back, so Takaoka just slaps her across the face.
That was on accident.
She had a bug on her face, I swear.
Yeah, there was a fly. He hasn't done anything wrong yet. I don't see any compelling evidence yet.
Two students go to defend her. Takaoka says that daddy loves to brawl. Don't call yourself daddy to students. He wants students to call him daddy. That's okay.
Well, I would say it's not normal, but still not compelling enough to prosecute him.
So you're saying if when your daughter goes to school and
Hey, whoa, now hold on a second.
Hey, you're going there, man. You're like, if you had a teacher who's like, y'all could call me daddy, you would not freak out at all.
Okay, I'll give you that one, but maybe just a couple months.
Anyway,
I don't know. You shouldn't ask me. I'm just defending the guy.
You don't have.
Or me, I'd probably kill him.
I had them do it because if I was the one who arrested you, I couldn't. I don't think I could keep my hands off you. Hey, I'm bringing it back.
There you go. Hey, why are you helping me? I'll take it.
Anyway, Karasuma breaks up the fight. He asks Kanzaki if she's okay. Takaoka checks on Meihara, the kid that he need. He asks if his family is okay. Koro Sensei flies in and says that they are students and not family. Takaoka says that PE is in his purview and that he can disagree, but it's not his place, and that Koro Sensei cannot harm another teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Takaoka's training commences. Karasuma, Irina, and Koro Sensei all say how much they hate it. Koro Sensei says that it's up to Karasuma to stand up to him. He does. Takaoka visualizes being better than Karasuma after being behind him for so long. Karasuma stands up to Takaoka. Takaoka says that they'll settle it as teachers. He'll select one student to try and stab him. If they succeed, he'll give up training. Only they use a real knife. Takaoka says how good this technique is because it inflicts fear and respect into the he thinks this anyway, he doesn't say it, into the subordinates. Karasuma chooses Nagisa, and Nagisa agrees.
Yeah, and this is where the
This
whole
an amazing
this is where it gets
then.
this is where it gets really interesting because it brings back how deadly Nagisa can be.
Takaoka mocks Karasuma's choice. Karasuma gives Nagisa words of encouragement and motivation by saying that he isn't trying to fight him but kill him, which is smart because there's a difference.
Yeah.
Takaoka is overconfident by knowing how intimidated holding a real knife can be. Nagisa is ready. He has a plan. He walks up to Takaoka really casually before striking like a snake and taking him down,
Mm-hmm.
and wrapping him up. And I wonder if Matsui can't draw that actual takedown because he draws a snake. Because it's like very complicated takedown.
Yeah.
It's like one of those like female MMA things that's
I
super
wouldn't be able to.
popular. So he uses the snake, which is a good metaphor, which is fine. That's just a thought
Yeah,
I
it kind of
had.
brings back the whole test thing too. Really drawing the metaphor that he's using in a way.
And goes back to chapter 1 because Karasuma reflects at how Nagisa is talented at hiding his intentions and making people uncomfortable at just the right moment.
It clearly makes me think that he's probably the best one in the class so far, even maybe better than Karma.
Nagisa asks if he actually has to stab Takaoka because he's just standing on top of him. Like, do I actually have to kill him? Almost done. Koro Sensei ends the fight and eats the knife, which is very boss of him. He's like, "What you doing giving students a knife?" He scolds Karasuma about giving students a sharp object. Karasuma reflects on Nagisa's skill, while the students congratulate Nagisa. Only Takaoka isn't done. He rises up, an ogre of rage. My words, I believe. He says that he'll take Nagisa on again and totally obliterate him. Nagisa agrees with him that he probably would lose. However, Koro Sensei and Karasuma are teachers, and their professional behavior is more like a family than using fear is, which really calls out abusive like family behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Irina asks what she is, and the student just says eye candy, which is funny. Takaoka says that he'll hurt somebody, so he'll hurt him for talking to an adult that way. Karasuma jumps in and just knocks him down, and says he'll force the higher ups to reinstate him. Takaoka won't allow it. Only things get worse when Asano shows up. They get nervous and that they think they'll keep Takaoka around. Instead, he shoves papers in his mouth and says that you can only instill fear through violence is trash, because that's not a good way to do it, and fires him because he's
Thank
kind of bored of him.
goodness.
The students rejoice. Koro
Thank
Sensei
goodness.
says that
He got off easy before he did anything too bad that would incriminate him.
other students rejoice. Koro Sensei says that as a teacher, it is common to have doubts, but getting them proven wrong is what makes it rewarding. The students ask if they get a reward for sticking out. Kazuma says he'll buy them food, and that they'll go as a class. And Koro Sensei sulks because he doesn't get any food.
Yeah.
And this is an amazing arc. Probably
Yeah,
one
it
of
was
my
really
favorites.
good. And there's one more chapter?
Yeah, it's a setup for the next one where
Yeah, it's just a
Summerheat is baking Class E, who cannot use the school pool because it's like a mile walk. They have to walk up a mile uphill both ways. And they ask Koro Sensei to fly them, but he says no. And we find out that Kamo was asleep during the entire Takaoka situation.
of
Which is
course.
funny. Yeah. Well, I mean, why does he need assassination skills?
I feel like he's off like just killing birds or something somewhere else while everyone's
Maybe a
doing stuff.
psychopath.
Yeah.
Koro Sensei leads them to what they think is just like an ankle deep stream in the woods. Only Koro Sensei made it a giant pool.
Yeah. See,
And
he's nice.
And is a lifeguard and sits around and bosses them about safety. A student splashes him and they realize that he doesn't like water. And that
Wait a second.
yeah, Kaede slips in the water and then Kataoka, God, that I hated that because it's Takaoka to Kataoka, back to
Yeah.
back. Who says she can do it, and we go from I just said that she has a plan to take him down, and that is where we end for the first 5 volumes.
Now, are we sure that Shyamalan didn't have any part in this? Because he doesn't like water.
No, his aliens don't like water.
Well, that too. Well, Koro is an alien, kind of. Maybe not really.
That's true. So, are you saying he's a M. Night Shyamalan alien?
It's possible.
I mean, you would know better than I would.
Who knows? It could
He
be.
he does not look like one of those aliens from that movie, but you
God,
know,
if he was in that movie, oh man, that'd be hilarious.
it would make it an actually good movie.
Probably.
Oh, snap. I've actually never seen it. I can't say that.
Oh, I've seen it.
Is it good?
It's not terrible, but it's not great.
Okay.
It does have good actors. I think it's got Joaquin Phoenix in it, and oh man, why did I
Mel
blank on his
Gibson?
name? Yes. So I mean,
Anyway.
they were good in it. But anyways, so what's your? Because I know this is all you've read up to this point. So what's your total thoughts out of the first 5 volumes?
Again, I like it a lot. I like its idea of, using assassination as a metaphor to actually do to improve yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
And
weird sometimes, but it's like a good idea and it's done really well.
And it's different. Like it's not your typical kind of, I don't know how, I don't want to say all these are the same, but how the big three and My Hero and Black Clover, Fairy Tail, like they're all different, but they feel kind of similar.
Yeah, because their main idea is not about, I mean, it's about becoming better, but not in the same way.
Yeah.
This one is about making students be better students.
I feel like this one really stands out apart from the other ones because it is so different, but uses similar tropes that are in those big series.
Yeah, it
Not all the
uses a
time,
lot
but
of.
it focuses more on the story, character, and development that it's doing.
Yeah, it's good. I don't know what more to say. I think that again, the side characters, the rest of class,
Hmm.
3E is kind of underdeveloped. Like every time I see, the chapter like cover page, it's like, hey, look at all of those students whose name I don't know or care
Yeah.
about, and I only learned them when it comes to like doing a chapter summary or like learning about them in that way.
And what about just to kind of wrap it up a little bit, what about the your expectations going into the next 4 or 5 volumes? We'll find a stopping place, but what are you
Uh,
expecting to be coming up or anticipating or any theories that you've got?
uh, the only thing I am, the only thing I'm actually interested in, like I'm sure arc by arc it will be kind of cool, but I'm more just interested in how they end it.
Oh, the whole thing.
Yeah, just kind of like what's that
Yeah.
ending like?
Yeah.
Where unlike, I mean, it's not the same thing. It's not like a mystery box where I'm like they're building up this giant mystery. I mean, there is a mystery,
Yeah, there's a
but
mystery, but it's not like it doesn't have to focus on the mystery, kind of like how, well, we were just talking about The Outsider today, how that show relied on the mystery paying off in the end. Well,
yeah, this
I
one.
mean, this will rely on the mystery, but it doesn't rely on the mystery every chapter, every volume, or every arc because it's got compelling arcs in between the whole story.
Yeah, and I like, and if it doesn't pay off, I probably would be okay with it unless it just ends really badly,
Hmm.
which I don't believe it would. I could be wrong. It could have a really bad ending, but I've not heard it. I've not heard anything about that.
Well, the good thing about it, not to give away anything because I'm not going to, but the good thing about it is, from what I know, 21 volumes was what he like where it ended was where he wanted to end it. Because I know a lot of series are pushed by the company to continue when they're popular. Well, this was a very popular series that ended when he wanted to end it, and I think that's very telling of what he is able to accomplish as far as quality goes. Because, like I said, it was right there, top five, I'm pretty sure, probably every single week, if not top three every single week.
That's impressive.
Yeah, because remember way back then, because I think this was when I was still in high school, and that's when I was reading One Piece Weekly, but I kept up with, well, I'm still reading One Piece Weekly, but I kept up with um, all of the rankings each
Rankings,
week.
yeah.
And
I
I
mean,
remember every time I saw it on there, I just never read it.
yeah, because wasn't that also when Bleach was in its downward spiral anyway? So
Yeah,
that was
that's
kind of.
when, because you know how, I mean, you've read Bakuman, and you know, oh, shoot, I know there was a series that was like this, but I can't remember which series it was. But where it was like in the bottom 11 or whatever it is, it was down to where a series should have been canceled, but it might have been their comedy series they did that it wasn't getting great rankings, but it was popular with the kids, so they wanted to keep it because it was bringing in kids.
Oh yeah, that from in Bakuman,
Yeah,
that Inventor series they had.
yeah, the run
Yeah,
diet, so something, yeah.
yeah.
Because you would think that how bad Bleach was doing, it would have been canceled, but because it was so popular and they wanted it to keep going,
Anyway,
they just kept it going.
so yeah, this is good. It's great to know that they actually end it when he wants to, and that they don't kill him, and then the timer goes off, and really there's another less cool Koro Sensei that they have to deal with.
I mean, who knows? I'm not gonna say what happens. I'm not
So
gonna
it's
give any hints of what happens.
so it's just like Death Note then, where they beat the main bad guy, and now there's a new one who's less cool and interesting that they
But
have to
there's
fight.
two of them.
There's two Koro Senseis.
No, well, in Death Note, there's two of them.
That's true. MNN.
Yeah.
Mellow Neo. Anyway, do you have anything else to wrap up? Because we're just doing our tangents now.
No, I think that's probably about it. I do know that the next one that we do for this is probably going to be a lot more discussion because I'll have to remember and refresh for sure. But I know that it really starts to ramp up into the deeper portions of the overall story coming up.
for
Starts to.
Assassination Classroom.
Yeah, I just got to refresh on when exactly it really starts to dive in there. But that's the good thing about this series is, from volume 1 to even to volume 5, it's stayed consistent on getting better.
Which
And it
that's good to
keeps
hear.
doing that. Yeah.
But that is not what we're doing next time. We're not continuing with Assassination Classroom.
Nope. And what are we doing next time? Have we decided?
We are going to do the first 4 volumes of Dr. Stone.
Oh,
Very
yes.
popular Dr. Stone.
Another one that I believe I introduced to you also that I picked up one day and ended up getting pretty hooked onto it.
Yeah, I think you got me that one too, but I don't remember if you said you read it or not. But I only ever heard good stuff about it, and so
Yeah,
it
I think
has.
I've only read the first 3, maybe 4 volumes, but I need to do a refresher before.
All right. So if you have any suggestions for us, please email us or tweet at us at Tower City Media.
Yep, and our email is also towercitymedia@gmail.com. You can, send in questions, comments. If you guys want us to talk about anything specific on the show, go ahead and just send it to us, and we'll sift through those and pick what we think would be good to talk about.
And if you want us to do our crappy Law and Order spin-off where we defend fictional characters,
Let
uh,
us know if that sounds good, because we'll definitely try to work something around it.
yeah, maybe that'll just be a side thing where we do every other show where we just basically what we do in the show
Uh,
is we stop. That seems like that could get kind of confusing. Anyway, it's fine. It's gonna be a
imagine
good time.
imagine having to do a whole episode defending Dexter or
I could
Walter White.
I could do Dexter. I can do Dexter right now.
I could do Walter White, but without getting into that, we'll have to talk about that separate. Anyways, make sure you guys email us any questions if you want to just contact us, but just keep an eye out for our next episodes that should be coming out, and we'll talk to you next time.